What's up, everybody? This is Cyrus. See, I can't talk too loud today because one of these situations where I'm in like a hostel room, people probably sleeping in the rooms next door. But I wanted to get a few videos out, or a couple videos at least, and discuss a couple quick topics that I hope will be of benefit to you guys watching. So, this is Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics, where we talk about complex, supernatural, paranormal, afterlife related issues a lot, and the kind of complex subject of who we are beyond this body, who we are in other worlds, other planes of existence. And I share a lot of ideas on here, ideas that come out of some of my books that I've written, like the one up on the screen, other people's ideas. Sometimes we'll do interviews, guests, things like this. And also, we have the Facebook group, which is quite large, quite active. And in this video today, I should say tonight, it's about 12:30 a.m. here in Belgrade as I work my way up Europe, going through the Balkans, eventually making my way to the UK, where I'll be doing some meetups and speaking events for people. But tonight, the topic concerns something actually one of our patrons, Molly, actually a producer level patron, wanted me to do a video about, and it concerns physical touch among those of us who have deceased loved ones and how this is something that they get trained to do. So, in case you're not caught up to speed, a lot of people have, I think I have a frog in my throat. Okay, I think I'm better now. So, in case you're not caught up to speed, a lot of people have experiences with their deceased loved ones, and these aren't always just dream experiences. They're not always just, how do you say it, like imagined events or things that come out of the realm of daydreaming or visualizations or anything like that. A lot of people have experiences when they lose a loved one, they lose a family member, they lose a close friend, that they will report actually being visited by their deceased relative. And this is talked a lot about in there's an old book called Hello from Heaven by Bill and Judy Guggenheim that talks all about the after DEATH contact. I have to be careful what I say because I might get demonetized. There's some words you're not supposed to say. One of them is the D word. Makes this channel a little bit difficult sometimes to keep going. But right, so many people have experiences where they feel as if they're being physically contacted by somebody on that side. And this is, of course, a great thing. Again, I was talking to one friend who said an experience like this immediately helped alleviate him of the feeling of grief after having lost that person. So it's an incredibly healing thing. But it's not coming out of somebody's imagination. It's for many people report that it's a physical experience. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some things I've discovered about this topic, and I hope that this is relevant to anybody who has lost loved ones, which is almost, I think, most of us on this planet. But real quick, if you've gotten this far, if you like this video, if you like these long podcast-style discussions, you can download these, use a YouTube to MP3 converter online. You can stick them on your phone, listen to them while you're driving. Then I encourage you to go down and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Share the video. All this stuff helps keep this channel going, helps the so-called algorithm to notice us and take seriously the stuff we're talking about. And I also appreciate it that you are forgiving of the kind of dull background behind me, because sometimes I do videos, as you know, walking around, showing off some cool places as I live out of a backpack. But sometimes, it's just me and my microphone as I browse around the web and share my thoughts. So anyway, if you want to go down and subscribe, that really helps. So to continue on the subject of physical touch, so something that's difficult for a lot of people to wrap their minds around is the concept that our deceased loved ones living in another world who are contacting us may still have a physical presence, because again we go back to that long-standing debate that we see on a lot of forums, including on afterlife topics, which is that, well, do people have a physical presence when they pass away? Because there's one group or one mindset that will argue that no, because we become an essence, a spirit, a ball of energy, something that is formless, and it wouldn't even make sense that we could still have a physical body when we pass away. And then there's other groups that say, well, I had an experience with somebody and they still had a tangible body, or I went out of my body and went to a city or went to a place where my deceased loved ones were hanging out. So there's sometimes not much reconciliation between these two positions. Of course, I am on the latter position because I do a lot of out-of-body work, and I can see that when you pass away or when you leave your body or you're disconnected from your body, it's possible to be in a tangible copy of your body. New rule set, version 2.0, if you will, but still a tangible body that is used to navigate the universe as we do with this body, but hopefully without some of the same hang-ups that we experience here. So that being said, it is then possible for a person to pass away in this world, for you to lose a loved one, for whether it's your husband, wife, son or daughter or parent, and be able to physically touch them again. As crazy as that sounds, it's possible to literally physically be in contact and feel that again, even if their prior physical body has been cremated and is now ashes or buried under the ground. So how can there be two bodies? How can somebody continue to exist in a duplicated body? Well, through afterlife science and these metaphysical concepts, we know that this is true and it can happen. So it's happened to me. So after my mom passed away, she was the most prolific at doing this, and she would come along almost every week for about 4 months after she passed away, usually around the same time, sometimes multiple times a week, about 4 to 5 a.m. I'd be laying in my bed, and then I would feel her presence. I'd be under a kind of a sleep paralysis state, but then from this state, I was conscious of through my astral body. So this isn't to say that other people would see her if they were there in the room, but I was operating through my version of the type of body that she was in. And then she could sit with me, and and then she would always touch me this whole time, hold my hand, touch my shoulder, scratch my back, anything. And this was very important. Now, one reason that she would do this, in addition to just the verbal conversations that she would touch, is that I also had an out-of-body experience not too long after she passed away, where I appeared in a training seminar for people who had recently crossed over and entered this higher plane, this higher dimension. And there was a teacher present, and he was telling everybody the psychological ramifications of touch and why it's so important to allow the people back on this world to remember about being physically touched, why it's possible, and how it embeds the experience into our memories. So without the physical touch component, it's possible, or it's more likely, somebody will dismiss their experience with their deceased loved one as having been a mental fabrication. However, the stronger and more apparent the physical touch is, the more they will remember the experience and not dismiss it as having been a mental fabrication. So this teacher, who was in an environment with my mom and like 12 other people, all of whom had recently passed away, and it was like a cabin-like environment in the woods on what we call the astral plane. This teacher was instructing people to go, to attempt to make physical contact with their loved ones on this side of the veil. And the best way to do that is how my mom began doing it, which is come to your living loved one on this side, and visit at night, and try to wake them from a dream state so that they're awake, but not fully awake. You need to catch them when they are kind of in between or in that paralysis state. And you can then touch their astral body, which is entangled with our current physical or earthly body, and it feels the same. And so the average person wouldn't even know the difference between that and their normal body. It would be registered as touch the same way as as you normally would feel touch. And then if you do this right while someone is just waking up, or they're in that in between state, then they'll have full cognitive recognition of the experience, and they'll be able to remember having been physically touched by their loved one again. And it worked on me, very, very useful. My father visited me like this about 2 weeks ago to catch up with me, and so he sat with me by my bed. Was it here, or I think it was back in Skopje when I was in North Macedonia last week. I was in a hostel, but he managed to get in the hostel, sat with me, and held my hand. But it's nothing weird or unusual for me. It's just common, and that's how we catch up. That's how we talk, and it doesn't happen as much anymore. Maybe once every couple months for me. 2, 3, 4 months sometimes will go by, and I will not have this type of experience. But they're welcome to do it more, and they can come anytime they want. So maybe this experience could happen to you. If it has not happened to you, don't despair, because not everybody has an easy time getting into that in-between state. But if you've ever been in between waking and sleeping, and you heard a deceased loved one's voice call out to you, then you know that they were trying to make contact in that in-between state. Many people I talk to, they've heard their deceased loved one call their name as they're waking up, because they're attempting to initiate this type of contact, and they're trying to wake someone up just enough so that they can kind of get them in that in-between waking and sleeping state, and get through to them. So always pay attention to that in-between state. If you have a deceased loved one, remember, if you can get into that sleep paralysis state, the sleep paralysis is actually your friend, and it is like a gateway that allows contact to come in from that side. So that's one thing to try, is that don't get scared if you're in a paralysis state, because this might be their opportunity to reach out to you. Alright, this is Cyrus. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, then I encourage you can buy one of my books, like The Afterlife and Beyond, out on Amazon. Understanding Life After Death, you can see on top of the screen right there, here at afterlifetopics.com. You can also, if you want, join the classes. So for patrons who support the work with $30 or more a month, then you help keep me on the road, allow me to keep doing this kind of work without breaking the bank. You can join our bi-weekly classes where you bring in guest speakers. We have discussions every week, plus one-on-one consultation with me. Things like that. So that's what we call Afterlife University. And you can sign up at the website, afterlifetopics.com/university. You can put in your information right here. Use PayPal, or you can alternatively use the Patreon at patreon.com/Afterlife Topics. Either way is fine. Either way, I'll get you in. Even if it's just for 1 month, you can check it out, and helps keep this whole thing going. Anyway, thanks for watching this. I'll see you guys on the next video.